All right, here's the first one up top. Now, let's do both ways, the way I would do it and the way your friend is doing it. So this is saying this polynomial, and it's saying divide that by x minus 8. So you're dividing this by x minus 8. Okay. Now, the way normal synthetic division is it's just long division. This goes on the outside, this goes on the inside. So you do x minus 8 on the outside, and x squared plus 3x minus 88 on the inside. Okay. So now when you do division like this, you're taking the highest x, which is x. There's no x squared here, and 8 is less than x. So you're taking the highest exponent variable, which is just x here, and you're saying how many times it go into x squared. So how many times does x go into x squared? It's x times, because what do you multiply x by to make x squared? It's x. So x goes in x squared x amount of times, and you notice I'm lining it up with the other x right here. Okay, and then you multiply like long division. X times x minus 8. Well, x times x is x squared, and x times negative 8, because that's minus 8, is negative 8x minus 8x. Okay, and just like long division, you're subtracting this. You are subtracting this. So x squared minus x squared is 0, so that kind of just cancels out with each other. And then 3x minus a negative 8x. Well, the way I keep my negatives and minuses straight is I change this to plus, and I would change this to plus. So same thing. If this is positive x squared, this become negative x squared. Okay, and then if you add, this still is 0. 3x plus 8x is 11x. Okay, so you just subtracted this minus this, and you're left 11x. And long division, the next step is to drop the next thing. It was minus 88. Okay, now same thing. X minus 8 goes into 11x minus 8. All you care about is the highest variable, which is x. How many times does x go into 11x? X goes into 11x 11 times, because 11 times x is 11x. So it's positive 11 plus 11. Okay, 11. Now you got to multiply this 11 times x minus 8. Well, 11 times x is 11x. 11 times negative 8 minus 8 is negative 88. Okay, same thing. You subtract this whole thing. Okay, so what I like to do is distribute the negative sign, so subtraction sign, so that becomes plus. You put a negative in front of that, and this minus becomes plus. Now we got 11x plus a negative 11x. Well, that cancels out. And negative 88 plus positive 80 is 0. So, and there's nothing left to drop. That means your remainder is 0. And your answer is 11, or sorry, x plus 11. And if you notice your friend's homework, that's his answer, x plus 11. So the way that your friend and teacher are doing it, so let me just kind of isolate, this is the problem right here. So let's put that right there. So the way that your friend and teacher are doing it is a little bit different. So I'm going to separate it here, and I'll do it that way. Okay, so the way that they're doing it is, let's get that out of the way. Okay, the way that they're doing it, okay, so you notice your friend doesn't, in his long division, he doesn't have any variables in there, because he's just taking the coefficient. Well, the coefficient is the number in front of the variable. So the coefficient of x squared is just 1. So that's where he got the 1 from. The coefficient of plus 3x is positive 3, so that's where he got the 3 from. And the coefficient of minus 88 is negative 88. Okay, and you could see the number that he put outside this division right here, like this, the number he put outside was positive 8, because it's like the opposite of here. Because it's basically the way he's doing it is like the opposite of the way we just did it. Instead of putting x minus 8, we're just caring about this negative 8, but he's doing the opposite. He's making it positive 8. Okay? And you can see the first thing he does is drop down this 1. Drops down that 1, and then he multiplies this outer 8, which came from negative 8, times this, which is 8. 8 times 1 is 8, and he puts that right here. And then instead of subtracting like in long division, he's doing the opposite. He's adding. 3 plus 8 is 11. That's where he got the 11 from. Now you multiply again. 8 times 11 is 88. Instead of subtracting, you're adding. Negative 88 plus 88 is 0. Okay? That means your remainder is 0. And where does he get x plus 11 from? Well, this is the coefficient for x. That's 1x. That's going to be 1x. And then there's no coefficient here. 1x plus 11. That's where he's getting it. So it's a little. I think it's a lot more confusing the way that they're doing that. So this becomes x, 1x, and this is a positive 11 plus 11. Okay. So you can see here it's the same answer. I think it's a lot more complicated to do that way. But if you got to do both ways, if you got to do this way, then you kind of got to like, see what you did here and turn it into this. It's kind of the opposite. You had minus 8, it became positive 8. Instead of subtracting the stuff here, you're actually adding it. And then you put the coefficient here. This becomes 1x, x, and this is positive 11 plus 11. Okay, so this is number 1. Okay, let's do number 2. Number 2. Try to go a little faster. So the problem for number 2 is, let me pull up the problems, is 7x squared. 7x squared plus 41x minus 56. Divided by x plus 7. And I'm pretty sure this only works when you're dividing by x, right? There's nothing in front of the x and there's no exponent here. I think this method only works when you have just an x plus or minus something. Okay, the other way, this always works. So that's why I don't understand why your teacher's doing it that way. A little bogus if you ask me. Okay, 7x squared plus 41x minus 56 divided by x plus 7. Okay, so let's do it the way that we know works. Okay, so on the outside is going to be x plus 7. Okay. Sorry about that. On the outside is going to be x plus 7. On the inside it's going to be 7x squared plus 41x minus 56. Okay. All right, let's do this quickly. X, we're only care about the x going into 7x squared. Well, x goes into 7x squared. What do I multiply x by to make 7x squared? It's going to be 7x. Right? 7x times x is 7x squared. Then I multiply 7x times x plus 7. 7x times x is 7x squared. 7x times 7 is 49x. Okay, and we are going to subtract that whole thing here. Okay, and I like to, we could just keep a subtraction. 7x minus 7x is 0, so that cancels out. 41x minus 49x, well, 41 minus 49 is going to be negative 8. Right, 41x minus 49x is going to be negative 8x. Okay, and then we dropped in minus 56. Okay, x goes into negative 8x negative 8 times, so it's minus 8. Negative 8 times x is negative 8x. Negative 8 times 7 is negative 56. And you can see that we're going to subtract this. We're subtracting the same thing from each other. It's going to be 0, right? Negative 8x minus negative 8x is 0, so that cancels out. Negative 56 minus negative 56 is also 0. So you got no remainder. Your answer should be 7x minus 8. If we look at your buddy's paper here, also got 7x minus 8. Try to quickly do it his way. Remember, it's kind of the opposite. Okay, so he just puts the coefficients here. So it's 7, 41, and negative 56. Okay, and on the outside, you can see he puts a negative 7 because he does the opposite. Instead of plus 7, he puts a minus 7 here. Okay, and he drops the first number. Okay, and then he multiplies. Negative 7 times positive 7 is negative 49. And then in subtraction, instead of subtraction, he adds a 2. 41 plus negative 49 is negative 8. Okay, and negative 8 times negative 7 is positive 56. And then he adds these two. Negative 56 plus positive 56 is 0. Right, so there's no remainder. And since we started with x squared here, we're going to start with x here. So this is going to be 7x minus 8. Okay, and you can see that's the same answer, 7x minus 8. Okay, so it's the same concept of doing this division, but it's just a different method. It's kind of the opposite because we're using addition. Okay, let's do number 3. Okay, number 3 is x to the 4th. X to the 4th plus 1296. Divided by x minus 6. Okay, so alright, so the thing, if you look at your friend's paper, he's got all those zeros there. It's because we got to take, this starts with x to the 4th, but I don't see a x to the 3rd, x squared, or an x. You got to take into account all those. So another way to write this, another way to write x to the 4th plus 1296 is going to be x to the 4th plus 0x to the 3rd plus 0x squared plus 0x plus 1296. Okay, so you can see here all these would equal 0. 0 times anything is 0, and you're going to have x to the 4th plus 1296. The reason why this is important, you can't skip these things when you're doing synthetic division. So just to save time, let's just do it like your buddy here. So we got our little box that he sets up, and the coefficient in front of x to the 4th is just 1. Coefficient in front of all this other stuff is 0. So a 0 for that, a 0 for that, a 0 for that, and a 1296. Okay, and on the outside is the opposite. You have minus 6, he puts a positive 6, as you put the opposite for this method. Okay. Alright, 6, so he always drops the first one, so he gets a 6 there. Sorry, he just drops the 1. Okay, 6 times 1 is 6. Add these together, you get 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Add those together, you get 36. 6 times 36. I'm going to cheat here. 6 times 36. 216. Okay. Add these together. 0 plus 216 is 216. 6 times 216. 1296. But you notice it's a positive 1296. Okay, and this paper kind of cuts out here. Okay, so if you add these together, 1296 plus 1296. Sorry, I'm using my keyboard. 2592. And you can see that he's got that in his paper. So the problem here is now you have a remainder. This is a remainder, 1292. Okay. And his thing kind of cuts off, so I'm not entirely sure how he handles that. Okay, so remember we started with x to the fourth. We're going to start with 1x, or 1 less. So instead of x to the fourth, this is going to be 1. The coefficient's 1, x to the third. We go 1 less to the fourth to the third. Okay, plus 6x squared plus 36x plus 216, and then the remainder is going to be, I believe he does 2592 divided by x. That's what it looks like he does right there, because the remainder is being divided by this x right here. Okay, so don't worry too much about that, but just this is how he got his answer. Okay. Okay, because it's remainder 2592. Okay. All right, so instead of writing the R 2592, he does that. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Number 4. Okay, so it looks like there's 6 here. So number 4, let's do it down here. X squared plus 18x plus 80. Okay. All right, x squared plus 18x plus 80 divided by x plus 8 divided by x plus 8. X squared plus 18x plus 80 divided by x plus 8. Okay, so let's do your buddy's method. Now notice this is x squared and x and a no and an x to the 0, which is just 1. Okay, so there's nothing to skip here. This one's pretty straightforward. All right, so let's set up the little box here. The coefficient here is 1. The coefficient here is 18. The coefficient here is 80. We do the opposite. So instead of plus 8, you do minus 8. Drop your 1. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. Add these together. 18 plus negative 8 is positive 10. Negative 8 times 10 is negative 80. Add these together, you get 0. So now we're back to no remainder. Okay, and remember we started with an x squared, so we go 1 less to x, and the coefficient is 1, so it's x or 1x plus 10. Okay, that's what your friend got there. Okay, let's go to number 5. Okay, number 5. Negative 2x to the third negative 2x to the third minus 13x squared minus 15x plus 20 divided by x plus 4. Divided by x plus 4. Okay, so we have x to the third, x squared, x, and no x. So this one, we don't have to skip anything and put zeros in. And we have divided by x plus 4. Okay, so let's set up our box. Coefficient is negative 2, negative 13. Let me erase this. Negative 13, negative 15, positive 20. And instead of using plus 4, we're going to put minus 4 on the outside. Okay, then he always drops this down, so it's going to be negative 2. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. Negative 13 plus positive 8 is negative 5. Negative 4 times negative 5 is positive 20. Negative 15 plus 20 is positive 5. Okay, I don't really need to put the plus there. It's just 5. Negative 4 times positive 5 is negative 20. Add these together, you get 0. Okay, no remainder, good. So we started with x to the third here. We're going to go one less to x squared. Okay, so we get the coefficient is negative 2. Negative 2x squared minus 5x plus 5. That's your answer. 5 negative 4 on the outside, positive 5. What did your friend do here? What did I do different than your friend? I think he got something wrong. I think your buddy got number 5 wrong here, because if you look here, he drops his negative 2. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8, which you put right there. But negative 13 plus positive 8 is negative 5. He put positive 5. That's negative 5. That's correct. And then what he did was negative 4 times 5 is negative 20, but really it's negative 4 times negative 5, which is positive 20. You combine these, you get positive 5. Negative 4 times positive 5 is negative 20, and that cancels out the 0. He got a remainder. This is the right answer. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do 6 to finish off the top. Six is x squared minus 81 divided by x squared minus 81 divided by x minus 9. It's a little blurry. X squared minus 81 divided by x minus 9. Okay. Alright, so notice here you have an x squared, but you don't have an x. So you got to make sure we put our 0 in for that. Okay, so the coefficient for x squared is 1. There is no x term, so that means the coefficient is 0 for the x, and then you got negative 81. And then you're dividing by x minus 9. Well, in this method, you do the opposite, which is positive 9. And once again, I think this only works when the coefficient is 1 and this is not raised to anything. So negative 9 minus 9, we do positive 9. Drop our first one down. Get 1. 9 times 1 is 9. 0 plus 9 is 9. 9 times 9 is 81. Negative 81 plus 81 is 0. We got no remainder. Remember, we started with x squared, so we should start with x. 1x is just x plus 9 is your answer. Okay, x plus 9. Alright, so that is the top section. We'll go over that more on Thursday.